It is an unfortunate but inescapable fact that the invention of mass media was a colossally bad idea, on par with training seagulls to deliver mail or deciding that clowns should entertain children. In its noble quest to inform, mass media has instead excelled in confusing, misleading, and occasionally enraging anyone foolish enough to pay attention to any of it. In just the time it takes you to blink, you can receive 42 contradictory reports about a single event, watch 1,000 strangers argue about it online, and if you're really unlucky, accidentally click on an opinion piece that convinces you civilization is in fact doomed. So join us as we trace the strange and unfortunate history of mass media from its optimistic beginnings to its current state of perpetual hysteria. Once upon a time, before mass media, early humans engaged in the world's first form of broadcasting, cave paintings. These primitive murals serve the same function as modern tabloids, sensational, exaggerated, and almost entirely inaccurate. The average cave dweller could be forgiven for believing that their ancestors had fought off saber-toothed tigers with nothing but a well-placed glare and an air of supreme confidence. As civilizations advanced, so did their methods of misleading the populace. Ancient Egypt's hieroglyphic propaganda ensured that the pharaoh always looked at least 15 feet taller than his subjects, while the Greeks and Romans pioneered public oration, a skill that essentially involved standing in a toga and convincing people that you were definitely not making all of this up on the spot. Johannes Gutenberg, a man with a pressing need to make things significantly more complicated, introduced the printing press, thus enabling humanity to spread misinformation at an industrial scale. Monks who had spent centuries painstakingly transcribing texts by hand suddenly found themselves out of work, much to their great relief. This era saw the rise of newspapers, which rapidly became the preferred method for distributing sensationalist drivel. Rival editors took delight in accusing one another of scandalous behavior, including but not limited to being in league with witches, being witches themselves, and harboring a suspiciously large number of cats. With the Industrial Revolution came faster printing presses, and with them an even greater capacity for global panic. The telegraph allowed for the first truly international bouts of hysteria, proving that no rumor is too ridiculous if you transmit it quickly enough. Enterprising media barons, such as William Randolph Hearst, realized that fear was an excellent business model. If you told people the sky was falling, they'd buy your paper to find out when. If you told them their neighbors were secret anarchists, they'd buy too. This philosophy led directly to yellow journalism, a practice that remains remarkably unchanged in spirit, if not in format. Then came television, the greatest achievement in the art of making people believe anything you tell them, provided the person doing the telling had a deep voice and an expensive suit. The public, eager for guidance, gathered around their screens like digital age druids, waiting for the evening news to tell them what was true and what was just an elaborate hoax orchestrated by communists, aliens, or possibly both. Meanwhile, advertising executives discovered that truth was, at best, an optional ingredient in selling products. Thus was born the golden age of television commercials, where miracle cures and household goods were marketed with all the scientific rigor of a medieval alchemist. And then, just as things were settling into a comfortable pattern of nonsense, the internet happened. If print had revolutionized misinformation and television had industrialized it, the internet promptly took it, duct-taped a rocket to it, and fired it into the sun. Suddenly, anyone with a keyboard and an overactive imagination could declare themselves an authority on, well, anything. Newspapers tried to keep up, but found themselves outcompeted by blogs, forums, and social media, all of which ran on the simple but powerful premise that facts were no longer a necessity, just an occasional inconvenience. Now we find ourselves in the golden age of unfiltered nonsense. AI-generated articles flood the web. Deepfakes ensure that nothing is ever quite what it seems. And political figures tell lies so brazen that previous generations would have at least had the decency to be embarrassed. News is no longer about informing people. It is about reassuring them that their existing beliefs are correct. We are bombarded with so much conflicting information that we have simultaneously learned to trust nothing and believe everything. In short, mass media has come full circle, back to the days of cave paintings, Only now, instead of exaggerated mammoth hunts, we argue over photoshopped images, Twitter feuds, and elaborate conspiracy theories that somehow always involve lizard people. And so the grand absurdity of mass media continues, proving that humanity, for all its technological progress, remains as gloriously confused as ever. Daily conversations are now riddled with an unholy mixture of half-remembered Wikipedia entries, influencer-driven narratives, and the ever-present suspicion that anyone who disagrees with you must be part of a vast, shadowy conspiracy, usually orchestrated by billionaires, robots, or an alliance of both.